Occasionally I still get these kind of comments, and it goes like this. It's a choice. We're talking about alcoholism and alcohol use disorder. And if there's anything you're going to learn from this page or from my videos or anything that I do, is that it is not a choice. Alcohol use disorder is a mental health disease. It is a disease. It's been characterized as a disease by the American Medical Association since 1956, and it has all the characteristics of a physical or a mental disease. And not to understand that is okay. I didn't quite understand it when I first got involved with it, but it's important to understand and learn and really to broaden your scope of understanding of things, even if you haven't had the experience of maybe living with a loved one or having a family member or having to deal with alcoholism in your life, or even having to go through it yourself, because then you have a completely different perspective when you have lived through this type of a process. And understanding that it is a disease, it is something that no longer becomes a choice, because there are so many variables that play into it. Let's continue the conversation. And really, to be honest with you, it's a choice is nothing more than a reactionary response to something that you really don't have an understanding of. It becomes a non-choice when you become chemically, physically, emotionally addicted to a particular drug, albeit alcohol, which is the most prevalent drug and the most easily accessible drug on the face of the earth. It's everywhere. And until we change the understanding of society and how it copes with it, we're going to have this problem. And this type of ignorance, and it is ignorance, honestly, because not understanding that it's no longer a choice when a person gets into the later stages there's a certain amount of addition to the shame and the guilt and the misunderstanding that people place on alcoholics. Alcoholics are not necessarily, the homeless person on the corner who has lost his way. It could be your airplane pilot, okay? It could be the guy that drives your bus. It could be the housewife. It could be your lawyer. It could be your doctor. Obviously, it could be your politician. It could be any one of us, and they walk amongst us, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a moral issue. It's not an ethics issue. Anybody could potentially get caught into the web of alcohol use disorder, given the right circumstances. In my wife's case, for example, she had a hereditary disposition. It ran in her family. Her grandmother died from it on her father's side. And I guarantee there's probably issues in other parts of the family. She also had trauma as a child at 16. I've talked about it a little bit. You'll get more of that in her memoir that comes out in a few weeks. It was also family culture. They drank wine with dinner. Her family drank wine with dinner. It was part of the French Canadian kind of thing they had going on. They all drank Chardonnay. I thought it was weird when I first met him, but I didn't know enough about it, and I didn't think it was going to go into the direction that it did. These are all things that you can fall into place, and eventually it becomes part of your identity. It becomes who you are as a person. And mentally, you don't have the ability not to drink. In fact, you will make it eventually. Every aspect of your life is to get alcohol, consume it, recover from it, and start the cycle over and over again, no matter what the consequences. And the real problem I have with a statement like this, it's a choice, is that it is a lack of not only just understanding of the mental health disease, it also tends to be a lack of empathy and a lack of concern of why people drink. It's a judgment statement. You're doing this, you have a choice. Why are you making this choice? Why are you ruining your ability in your relationships? Why are you destroying the most important people in your life? Why is it hurting your productivity? Why are you making that choice? And maybe in the earlier stages when you're first drinking, through peer pressure or through family culture. But even then, it's not really part of your choice. It's not that simple. There's too many moving parts. And I really hope that makes sense. We need to get rid of the judgment call, because that really helps no one involved. So I hope people watching this, if they learn anything at all, is that more empathy is needed in alcohol use disorder and in alcoholism. As difficult as that can be, as challenging as being around an alcoholic can be, I hope we learn one thing, that it is not a choice. And again, I want to point out, I go live Monday through Friday, right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We also have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Link is in the bio. Best way to get in touch with that. Again, in the link tree, when you're ready to work with me one-on-one. I've helped thousands of alcoholics, and just as importantly, their families, set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course, definitely not. But I'm looking for people who want to change their life and the life of their family. And again, thanks for listening.